You're not asking to be worshipped. You're not asking to be famous. You're not asking to be the center of attention. But let's tell the truth, Queen. There's a part of you that's tired of feeling unseen. Not because you're invisible, but because your energy is being ignored. That's the frustration no one talks about. You've been too loud, you get called too much. You've been too soft, you get overlooked. You've shown your heart, they misuse it. You show your boundaries, they ghost. So now you're wondering, do I need to chase attention just to feel valued? Queen, the answer is no. You don't chase attention. You command presence. Hi, love. I'm Kay Ali Cole, and this is where women learn to love and lead from power, peace, and purpose. This is where we come home to our truth. Before we begin, stay with me until the end. Your exclusive Queen's closing gift is waiting for you, love. And I see a lot of you beautiful queens watching without subscribing yet. Go ahead and hit that button. You give me your time, I give you my best. That's our promise. Thank you so much for being here. God never told you, Queen. He never told you to make yourself smaller just to be included. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, not fearfully and quietly tolerated. And yet so many women shrink their voices, their beauty, their brilliance, thinking they have to earn someone's attention with performance. You don't. You're not performing. You are presenting. And tell me why you can walk into a room and feel the shift before anyone speaks. You can see the guy who used to text you daily, now only responds with LOL. Your energy picks up the distance. You try to ignore it, but your spirit already knows when someone's interest has turned into convenience, right? Let me call this out real quick. You ever post a fire selfie, then pretend you're not checking who watched your story like 7 times? We all have. But don't worry, Queen. It's not that you need attention. It's that you're craving confirmation. Confirmation that you're not the only one who sees your glow. You're not. And you are glowing beautifully. Just know when you get still, your soul starts speaking truth again. That your worth was never in your performance. That your power was never in how loudly you talk, but how deeply you carry peace. Because real confidence doesn't walk in a room and says, "Look at me." It walks in and says, "You can feel me," right? Listen to me closely right here. Presence is louder than performance. And performance and presence can't be faked. It comes from alignment, not attention, right? I know what you're thinking. If I stop showing up the way they expect, I'll lose them. Queen, anyone you lose by being in your truth was not anchored to you. They were attached to your performance. You're not losing love. You're losing labor. And it's okay to stop over-functioning for people who only value your effort, not your essence. It's okay. Choosing not to chase doesn't make you bitter. It makes you wise. It makes you wise. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to beg anyone to see you. You don't have to prove why you're enough. Let your energy enter the room first. Let your peace speak louder than your words. Let your stillness announce what your ego used to shout. You don't chase attention anymore. Because, Queen, your presence commands the room. It commands it. You ever feel like the moment you stop trying, everyone stops showing up? Suddenly the messages slow down, the phone calls don't come, you pull your energy back and realize you were the glue the entire time. And it hurts. Not because you're desperate, but because somewhere along the way, your effort became a habit and their bare minimum became the standard. Let's pause right there, because this is where so many women get stuck. They start asking, is it me? Am I the reason they're distant? And instead of leaning into peace, they start chasing attention again, just to keep the connection alive. You ever start pulling away just to protect your peace, and then you get that text, that one text, dang, you don't hit me up anymore. Not, hey, how are you? Not, I've been thinking about you. Just a guilt-laced reminder that they noticed a shift and now expect you to undo it. That's the game. That's the trap. That's where women burn out, because they confuse connection with performing for proximity. God never created you to fight for closeness. He made you for an alignment. There's a difference between nurturing a bond and babysitting someone else's inconsistencies. There's a complete and total difference, right? And let's talk about the guilt right here, because that's what's real. You're doing less and now you feel like you're the bad one. You're not showing up the way you used to, and it's stirring shame. But Queen, let's ask the real question. Why are you feeling guilty for choosing peace over pressure? Why do you feel bad for resting when no one was checking on you anyways? Guilt is often just a little echo of old programming. If I don't work for it, I don't deserve it. But love that requires exhaustion isn't love, it's labor. And you're allowed to stop performing. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to rest. And here's the part that might hurt a bit. The attention you chase was never the affection you needed. It was never the affection that you needed, my love. And you ever notice how a man who's actually ready doesn't need reminders? His presence won't feel like a reward you earned. It'll feel like a space you belong in. Because masculine alignment doesn't need performance. It needs peace to respond to. The moment you stop chasing, you create a gap. And a man in alignment moves into it. A man out of alignment, he just fills it with confusion. He does. Right? There's something sacred about no longer begging to be seen. Something divine about silence that doesn't seek validation. When you stop over-functioning, you stop over-identifying with what you give, and you begin remembering what you are, still, enough, worthy without the need for applause. That's the shift right there. So there you are, pulling back, right? Pulling back to protect your peace, and suddenly he remembers your name. He double tapping your story like it owes him rent. Now you're wondering, should I respond? Should I lean back? Girl, block him in the spirit first. Then comes the app, okay? Block. Attention without intention is emotional noise, love. Silence is a sacred filter. If your presence didn't matter, they wouldn't feel your absence. Let that remind you of your impact. Let it remind you that you are worthy of more. You're not afraid of being alone, love. You're afraid of being forgotten. But let me tell you something, Queen. God never forgets a woman who remembers her worth. So stop performing, stop begging, and stop proving. If they couldn't hold you when you were trying, they don't deserve you when you're whole. They don't. Let's talk about her. That version of you that doesn't double back, doesn't chase, doesn't keep trying to explain herself to people who've already decided not to understand her. She exists. She's not cold. She's not bitter. She's clear. And when you meet her, it won't be because you made a declaration on a Tuesday. It'll be because you were tired of proving yourself by Thursday, love. Yeah. So listen closely, Queen. You don't need to be louder. You don't need to be in everyone's space. No, you need to be rooted, because attention without alignment is noise. But presence in your power, that's a command. I want to ask you, you ever have that moment where you tell yourself, I'm not going to text him. I'm going to do good. I'm not going to go backwards. Then 2 hours later, you're staring at his story views like it's a scavenger hunt, checking his last active like it owes you answers. We've all been there, that tug of war. But then that moment right there, that's not weakness. That's your nervous system looking for familiarity, not necessarily love. You're not addicted to him. You're addicted to the pattern of trying, right? And you know that what most women are trying to do is decode. We're trying to decode, if he liked me, why did he disappear? Let's answer it with love and truth. Men ghost. Yeah, they just ghost sometimes. They disappear from conviction. When your energy gets too whole, too aware, too self-fed, an inconsistent man feels irrelevant. Not because you did too much, but because you stopped doing the most. And then he ghosts. That's not your loss. There is no peace in trying to resurrect connection that was never rooted in mutuality. And Queen, hear this gently. You are never too much. You are just giving more to someone who showed up with maybe. And that maybe is not enough for you, right? It will never be enough. So, why do we pray for peace and then go emotionally dumpster diving 3 days later? God said, here's your peace. And we said, thanks, but I'm just going to check his page real quick. Why? Listen, you're not wrong for having feelings, but don't betray your growth just because curiosity got lonely, right? Don't. Because sometimes what makes you feel guilty is really just withdrawal from dysfunction. You're not a bad woman for not answering that call. You're not cold for not explaining your boundaries. You're not arrogant for expecting consistency. That's not guilt. That's your nervous system detoxing from codependent survival mode. Let it go. Let peace become your new pattern, right? The version of you who doesn't chase isn't angry. She's discerning. She doesn't flinch when they pull back. She doesn't panic when the energy shifts. She doesn't argue about what she already knows. Because when peace becomes your oxygen, you stop breathing in confusion. You do. Your worth is not earned by effort. Your value isn't decided by attention. Your softness isn't a liability, it's an echo of divine design. You're not here to chase. You are here to embody, to take up space, to take your time, to take back your narrative, right? To take back your narrative. Queen, if this message is speaking to your spirit, don't just listen in silence. Make sure you're subscribed. We're building something here. This isn't just conversation, it's conditioning, and the woman you're becoming needs this soil. You give your time and I give you my best. That's our promise to each other. All right? So go ahead and subscribe. You don't have to declare you're done, love. Just be done. Because the real power move isn't announcing your peace. It isn't. It's protecting it without breaking your voice. That's what it is. Stay here with me as we go deeper. Because here's the truth they never taught us growing up. You don't have to perform for peace. You don't have to explain your softness. You don't have to prove your worth to people who only see your convenience. Because the most commanding women, they don't announce, they don't beg, they don't chase, they carry energy that speaks for them, right? And let this land. You don't need a new caption. You need a new conviction. Because when your peace becomes sacred, your presence becomes powerful without needing a single post. Not one. Not one. You ever sit there trying to figure out how to say something the right way? Should I wait an hour to text back? Should I post something vague on stories? Should I act unbothered even though I'm hurting? Sister. Sometimes silence is a strategy. Sometimes you don't need to say anything at all. Sometimes your growth is best communicated by the absence of the old version of you. By that absence. Right? And I know that guilt creeps in sometimes. Because the moment you stop chasing, your nervous system might panic. You'll think, well, what if he thinks I don't care? What if they think I've changed? What if? What if I'm being selfish? And Queen, here's the soft truth. Yes, you've changed. Yes, you're choosing peace. Yes, you're breaking cycles. But that's not selfish. That's self-respect. The guilt you feel isn't truth. It's just your old wiring grieving its replacement. Let it grieve. Let it go. The strongest version of you doesn't chase clarity. She is clarity. She doesn't ask for the bare minimum. She doesn't make excuses for inconsistency. She doesn't shrink in the presence of distance. No. Because her silence is not passive. It's protective. There is no faith in forcing. And there is no freedom in fear. You don't need to monitor, manipulate, or manage other people's behavior to feel secure. God does not ask you to prove your worth. He calls you to remember it. And when you sit in stillness, that's when heaven speaks the loudest. Right? Now, Queen, this might hit close to home. Why do we always think the messages didn't go through just because he didn't reply? I'm going to send it again just in case. I'm going to put my story up so he sees it. I'm going to just like this post, soft reminder. Listen, you sent the message. He got it. And silence is also an answer. It is. It is. Silence is also an answer. But this version of you is no longer noisy. She's no longer waiting to be chosen. No longer shaping herself to fit someone else's confusion. And no longer seeking permission to be powerful. Her energy is settled. Her posture is quiet. Her clarity is loud. And the room adjusts accordingly. Because Queen, you're not here to explain why your standards change. You're not here to audition for respect. You're not here to soften your boundaries just to keep proximity. You are the message. You are the moment. You are the mirror they weren't ready for. Let me say it quiet so it echoes louder. A woman who stops chasing becomes a woman who's remembered. Not because of absence, but because of alignment. Because of alignment, love. Let me ask you, you ever stop texting first and suddenly that person remembers you? It's not a coincidence. It's the shift that happens when your energy no longer negotiates. When your worth stops begging for witness. When your dignity doesn't ask for debate. That silence, that distance, it taught you what access is supposed to cost. Right? And yet, Here's a part like most people won't say. Peace feels like a threat when you've lived in chaos. You'll start to second guess. Is this loneliness? Am I isolating myself? Maybe I should reach out just to clear the air. But baby, that's your nervous system mistaking stillness for danger. That's trauma asking you to go back to what was familiar, not what was safe. This is a moment where you remind your spirit, you're not being ignored. You're being protected. Right? You ever block somebody, then keep checking to see if they notice? Weird, right? But we do it. Like, did he feel it? Is the void voiding yet? Babe, if you don't let that chapter close for real, sometimes the silence is your prayer being answered, love. It is. Scripture says, be still and know that I am God. Not be loud, not be convincing, not be everywhere trying to make it make sense. Still, soft, and steady. The more you settle, the more God surrounds. The more you listen, the more heaven lifts you. Right? And let's talk about the part that trips a lot of women up. You think because he didn't chase you, he didn't care. But here's the truth. Men respond to energy, not effort, not loudness, not performance, not persuasion. If a man can feel your peace more than your panic, your clarity more than your need, that's what activates pursuit. You don't have to announce your absence. The right man will notice it and correct his own. The right man, okay? All right, so this version of you doesn't seek proof. She walks with evidence. This version of you doesn't beg for presence. She dwells in purpose. And this version of you doesn't command with volume. She commands with vibration. You became the message, and you don't have to repeat yourself anymore. You don't. Right? Queen, if this message found you at the perfect time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join this growing sanctuary. You give me your time, I give you my best. That's our promise. And our Queen's closing gift is waiting for you at the end. So don't forget. Stay with me now. What we're going to do is we're going to go into our breath work, right? Our guided reconnection to center ourselves. Let's come back to center. Inhale, inhale, soften your chest. Exhale and unclench your jaw. Inhale, hold it, and exhale. Breathe in peace. Inhale, hold it, and breathe out performance. We're going to go into our affirmations. I am the energy that shifts the room. My peace is a presence. I'm no longer addicted to proving. My silence carries sacred clarity, right? And as always, stay blessed, love. Stay crowned. Your Queen's closing gift is there for you with your affirmations and your journal entry. Again, you're no longer explaining yourself to people who only listen to convenience. You are now the room, and everything else will rise to meet you. Have a great day, Queen.